High School's beautiful campus. The stretching green forests and fields will always reside in my memory. Every place on Butler's campus holds memories for me, either from recent times or from my younger years. That's the reason why the campus is so special, because students spend a lot of time exposed to nature. When moving up past elementary into the intermediates, that immersion in nature doesn't change. I am one of the managers of the chicken coop, so alongside other outdoor activities, I am guaranteed to spend some of my day outside, whether it be sunny, freezing, or just plain miserable weather. Of course, that's what's called bonding through suffering, something we do a lot at Butler. But I find it to be the best way to get closer, as it resulted in my current friendships here. The dreary winter in the chicken coop carries hardships and failure, but it soon leads to spring, which brings with it new life and sun-filled days. The rise and fall of prosperity bears a similarity to the rise and fall or ups and downs of life. Butler has taught me that there is a lesson to be learned in everything if you look close enough. One of my favorite things about my experience at Butler is the community that we built. Most prominent in the intermediates, the community is among the most valued virtues in the Butler experience. From the start of the year, our teachers are always telling us about building and maintaining a good community. That is especially evident in activities we do, such as community lunch, work of place, and community meetings. As we mature, our community grows stronger and stronger, serving for better bonds and memories. Sometimes, when I look back on these memories, my heart hurts a bit because I know I'll never experience moments like that again. I am submerged in a pool of memories. From my eyes come only tears, and my voice cannot muster the power to speak. There will always be moments ahead, always a future to look forward to, but never, I fear, never will I get the emotions, the people, the adventures that I got at this school. But I'm very lucky, as some of the closest people to me will be joining me in the next chapter of my life. I'm thankful to the many people who have supported me on my journey. To my best friend for the last 5 years, Brooke. We never thought our friendship would go past our experiences at Butler, but the universe has a way of preserving relationship when it matters, against all the odds. To Beatsy, Caroline, Georgia, and Laya, my friends from Butler that are coming to Poolsville with me, I hope we have more fun moments ahead. To my fellow 8th years, thank you for being amazing and for being my friends. I hope you all know how much I value you. To the 7th years, thank you for being really entertaining and energetic. I will miss every single one of you. Thanks to my exceptional teachers. Butler makes a bond between teachers and students like no other. Whenever I was doing anything, having crazy ideas, or maybe being a bit annoying, I always had the full support and patience of my teachers. I will always be grateful for that. Thanks to my siblings for having fun with me. Remember, we choose each other over the world. Thanks for my mom and dad for enrolling me in this school and always teaching me valuable life lessons. If good memories are like charms on a bracelet, then I'm leaving Butler with the most vibrant, colorful bracelet to always have with me. Thank you.
This year has been really fun, and it definitely wouldn't be as fun as it was without Caroline. Caroline is a very important addition to our community. She's always there to tell a good joke and be serious when needed. Caroline is an amazing microeconomy manager and is always there to support us from baking. She makes sure that our farm market doesn't fall apart by working hard in the kitchen every Friday to make sure all of the CSA baskets are done, or by making sure all of the teachers get their meals on Wednesday. We will definitely miss her unhealthy obsession with the computer chaos, and of course, the drawings on the whiteboard in the kitchen. Even though she left us for 2 years, we were more than happy to welcome her back into our community, and I've loved getting to know her again. I've known Caroline for about 9 or 10 years, so I can tell you that she's a very hardworking person, and the community would not be the same without her. We hope you have an amazing high school experience. Now I would like everyone to give a big round of applause to Caroline Baltazar.
Don't remember a thing from my first day at Butler, but my parents say it went something like this. I was so ready for my first day of school, and I had my oversized backpack and everything. We got to the main office to sign me in, but the office couldn't find my name on the list of admissions, and that's when they realized they signed me up for the school program and not the school and summer program. But there was an empty spot, so they let me stay anyway. When I was in primary, I was so excited to start wearing uniforms and be an elementary kid. Now I have way too many memories to recall through elementary years, but in a nutshell, there was a lot of hiking, plays, gardening, and clubs, some of which included the furry club and the hooligans. All good times, until I was informed I would be leaving Butler to be homeschooled on an RV trip around the US. To 10-year-old me, this seemed like a big deal for my social life. While traveling, I really learned a lot about our country's history and the people who live here, but everything came to an end when COVID hit. When we got back to Maryland, I was offered the chance to go back to Butler. I hadn't really wanted to go back and end up all alone or ruin what good memories and friendships I previously had here. But that might have been because I was socially awkward right after COVID. Granted, we were all socially awkward after COVID. So I wasn't alone. Despite that, I'm really glad I returned. Otherwise, I would have missed out on all the opportunities Butler has provided. The intermediate program was something I hadn't yet experienced at Butler, but it was a more free learning structure where I actually got to ask questions rather than follow the textbook. Butler was definitely different as we went on hikes often and learned about our environment. I especially got to learn about how our turtle Jessica could live out in the wild. I learned about nature a lot, and we went on camping trips. That's also how I learned I didn't care much for camping, unless it was with the class. This school is also the reason why I know about what community is. Other schools say they focus on community through bonding, but they never do it the same or focus on it as intensely as Butler. We all learn that a community is like a family in the way that we're all close and can rely on each other. There are a lot of opportunities for community, aka bonding through suffering, that the teachers provide for us, such as the infamous mountain hike. Anyone who was at last year's graduation will know what I'm talking about. And CYO, where last year's class was especially close. This year, the suffering was straight up camping. No running water, electricity, and absolutely no showers. Picture this, 20-something students who haven't showered and have been cooking over fires and hiking and canoeing. Not pretty. At least I got boba on the trip, and even though we were suffering, at least we were together. There are some important people that I would like to thank for helping me out over the years. I'm eternally grateful to all the teachers. I couldn't have made it this far without your support and help these past years. And I'd like to say thank you to my fellow students for their sometimes lame inside jokes and making the past 2 years more interesting. I want to thank my sister as well, as she was a major factor to my social side not dying during our 2 years of isolation. I especially want to thank my parents for supporting me and giving me their money for this amazing school. This school has given me so much and I'm going to miss it a lot, but now I've got to go my own way and hope that other students get this amazing experience. Thank you.
I've known Laya for the better part of 7 years. Though we've not been friends for all that time, she's been a great leader who stood up in the community. For example, she was microeconomy manager, and her outstanding leadership and responsibility lifted up the community. As a microeconomy manager, she works in a kitchen cooking different pastries and food to sell at the farmers market, which she also co-manages. Laya's skills in all her activities have made her a well-rounded leader, and her amazing personality has also made her a great and funny friend to everyone. Her sassy sense of humor can make anyone laugh, and she's really fun to be around. Laya, we will thank you for your contribution to the intermediate community. Wish you all the best for your upcoming future at Postal and beyond. Everyone, please welcome Laya Suresh.
When I was first told to write the speech, I flat out refused, in my head, of course. I was adamant that I wouldn't write this graduation speech, that for some reason was just too much. Eventually, though, my foolproof plan of procrastinating had to come to an end. Miss Rodman told me to think about moments that impacted me through my Butler experience, and it got me wondering, what moments have truly impacted me? After too much thinking, I came to the decision that I would only be talking about my intermediate years. And so, I picked 3 moments. The first one took place last year on our spring trip to California. This was during the second part of our trip when we were at a camp in the Redwoods called TYO. We had just come out from an emotionally intense night activity, and Ms. Robin took one look at our group and told us that before we all headed back to our cabin, we were going to go somewhere. And so, our class of 19 began a treacherous journey to a nearby field. I was walking with Beatsy and Derek, Beatsy guiding us both. Me, because I have terrible night vision, and Derek, because he was crying and I don't think he was wearing his glasses. Our walk was silent, occasionally interrupted by Beatsy warning Derek and me about roots or other things we could trip on. When we finally made it to the field, Derek lay down on his back and Beatsy and I sat on either side of him. I could hear our other classmates sniffling in the background and the occasional joke from someone. As it got later, we joined a bigger group and we were all laughing and talking, and even though some people had pretty much just cried their eyes out, it was such an amazing experience. I will never ever forget how at home I felt that night, sitting under the stars with the people I loved the most. My second memory also involves bonding, but I promise this one isn't as emotional as the first. There was a day on our fall trip this year that we had almost nothing to do. Ms. Robin gave us free range of the part of the campsite that we were camping on, and we decided to play a giant game of hide and seek tag. A couple of us ran into the woods behind the tents, and we were giggling about how no one would ever find us. Surprise, surprise, we got found, and Jasmine and Henry chased after us. Henry took off in the other direction, and Jasmine caught me as I stopped to catch my breath. But I remember giggling so hard for no real reason as I joined the other people that had already gotten caught. Emma stood under the pavilion with the rest of the group, and she looked at me like I had grown another head, but I knew she would be laughing with me in 10 seconds flat. And sure enough, I got everyone laughing. I was very pleased with myself then, but more than anything, I felt secure. My third and final memory is one I know I will remember no matter how old I am. On our spring trip in May, my car group had a lot of driving. And if I'm being honest, the car rides were probably my favorite part of the entire trip. Max, Caroline, Melina, and I seemed like an unusual group, but I can truthfully say that we worked. Though it may just have been Q being honestly hilarious, our car group had an amazing time laughing and laughing. Whether it was Max completely forgetting about the directions, leading me to do navigation for the rest of the trip, or Q telling us absolutely unhinged jokes, our car group was by far the most entertaining. I think we had the best car group simply because we had all already gone on multiple trips together and already had inside jokes and instances to talk about. We were already close, but that one trip gave us so many memories and so much fun and made us so much closer. As I think back over not just these memories, but all of the memories that I have made here, I am struck by the fact that Butler, to me, is home. And I know every 8th year ever says that, but honestly it is. The memories, the friends, the people. Everything is safe and comforting, and no matter how old I get, I know I will always have a home here at Butler and with both of my intermediate classes. And of course, just like at every other Butler graduation, I have a few thank yous. Obviously to my parents for supporting me in my shenanigans, to my sister for always being willing to talk to me, and to all of my teachers from primary, lower L, and upper L. Most of all, to my intermediate teachers. To Ms. Rodman, thank you for listening to me when I was having a bad day or if I just needed help with homework. To Mrs. Daly, thank you for your amazing sense of humor and for having an endless amount of patience to deal with me and my questions. To Senora, for always being willing to help in the kitchen and otherwise. To Mr. Jones, for being absolutely hilarious and for always being willing to help with whatever you can. To Q, you made the car ride so fun and entertaining, and you bring your hilarious energy with you everywhere. To Miss Radigan, your unwavering amount of energy is amazing. And thank you for teaching us how to make fake blood. Halloween is going to be a lot more fun now. To Miss Madalena, we missed you so much this year. I'm especially going to miss your enthusiasm and your contagious smiles. And finally, how could I leave this stage without thanking my friends and my classmates from this year and last year? Thank you guys for everything. From listening to my stories, to always being willing to go on adventures with me, to always being there when I'm freaking out. You guys never ever let me down. I love you all so much, and I'll miss you next year. Thank you.
This is a person who is funny, kind, and responsible. She has an obsession with horror movies, Starbucks, art, and her little brother Griffin. At recess, it's not uncommon for her to be inside painting, drawing, or really doing any other form of art. She always has some random, yet for the most part funny stories to tell. She loves to tell stories about her brothers, scary things, celebrities, and more. She is one of the indoor managers, and she's good at it. She always keeps the park house from turning into a complete mess. She loves cleaning and organizes everything. At the beginning of the year, she would mop the floor every day, and later in the year, she would vacuum all the time. She loves the scent of pine sol, even though her co-manager Suhana hates it. We will miss this person and all her funny jokes, comments, and stories. We know she will do great in high school and life. Please welcome Georgia Pugh.
If you don't already know, my name is Georgia. I'm 14 and leaving Butler this year. I like horror movies, Lana Del Rey, painting, and I am really bad at writing graduation speeches. I think it's because I've always been kind of slow in realizing when things are gone. When we moved back to America from the Netherlands, it took me almost 2 months to process the fact that we weren't just on vacation and that we lived here now. Being a first-generation immigrant, I've always struggled with finding a permanent home. When writing this speech, I had to Google what the definition of an immigrant was. Oxford Dictionary defines it as a person who comes to live permanently in a foreign country. That confused me because I didn't know what foreign meant to me, seeing as I've never really felt at home in any of the places I've lived, so everything has pretty much been foreign for me. That's when I found the term third culture kid. Third culture kids are children who relocate various times due to parents' jobs or other factors. This really resonated with me because you didn't need to leave your home in order to be a third culture kid. You just needed to leave a place. The last 2 years I've been living in America, and lucky for me, I had already been to Butler once for first grade, so coming back wasn't as big of a change as I thought it would be. Unfortunately, my first year back, I was still in my emo, nobody understands me, leave me alone, I need to listen to My Chemical Romance phase. So that's how everyone met me. But I've grown out of that now, and I've really grown to appreciate the place that I call home for 7 hours of the day. I think my favorite experience at Butler was when we went to California. I can't even begin to explain how fun that trip was. The group that I studied migration with was Beatsy, Ken, Grady, and Adriana. We decided that for lunch one day we were going to go to a nice Spanish restaurant called Trapi Sueño. How unfortunate for us that after we'd been walking around for hours and we were starving, we couldn't find the restaurant. Poor Hugh had to deal with 5 hangry teenagers on the streets of San Francisco. But we found it eventually and the day was saved. That trip will go down in history as my favorite trip ever. Throughout my time at Butler, I've learned how to be self-sufficient, how to do math, how to navigate American systems of measurement and currency, and how to open up yourself to others. And even though I've always struggled with finding a permanent home, I think I found one at Butler. I'm really proud of how far I've come, and none of that would be possible without some important people. I'd like to begin with my spectacular family. My mom is one of the coolest people I've ever met, and that's saying something, because I've met myself. But in all seriousness, my mom is always here for me, and she looks out for me even when I can't do it myself. She is always prepared to stand up for me, and for that, I love her. Next up on the list is my dad. My dad and I butt heads sometimes, but only because we are basically the same person. My dad is also really cool because he is me, just older. My dad and I like the same bands, the same movies, and we're both really good at art. For that, I love him. Last but certainly not least are my 2 wonderful brothers, Griffin and Reese. Reese and I have a typical brother-sister relationship. We argue a little bit, a lot. But if anybody hurts him, I would always be ready to have a nice conversation with them. Now Griffin, my youngest brother, he's like my son. I apologize, Mom. I would literally do anything for that little man. I love playing fire trucks with him and listening to his funny pronunciation of words like goyles and thieves. I also want to thank my school family and my classmates. Thank you for being there for me and all my dramatics. I know it must have been a struggle. my thank yous would also not be complete without